What is anime most known for? Yeah, something like that. Today I'm going to be breaking down my favourite fights in anime and why they stand out to me above all of the others. This list will be heavily biased, so keep your expectations in check. Also, let me know in the comments what your favourite fight scenes are. But without further ado, let's get started. In an arc with fights such as those in Thunderclap Part 1 and 2, my favourite in the Shibuya incident and JJK as a whole is Yuji's clash with Choso in episode 10 of the Shibuya incident Red Scale. This was one of those fights that had me cheering during key moments. It's arguably the only fight where a villain has an understandable motivation this season, and that's why this fight stands out the most to me. The hand-to-hand combat accelerates the feeling here, the environment helping too, with the closed-in bathroom making it feel a lot more personal than a larger-than-life fight like Sukuna vs Maharaga. As well as this, in contrast with fights like Sukuna vs Maharaga or Jogo, Tojo vs Megami, or Mahito vs Yuji and Todo, this fight feels like it could go either way. Both combatants seem evenly matched, if not 60-40 in favour of Choso. The stage shifting also directly influencing the abilities of both combatants helps the fight to feel realistic and alive in the environment provided. Shibuya Station. Shifting from an open walkway to a water-soaked bathroom, again, not only influences the abilities of blood manipulation, but helps the fight to feel more brutal and by extension tense. Drawing inspiration from hand-to-hand combat scenes in film, the fist fight itself is brutal. Choso keeps trying to use his blood manipulation to his advantage, but can't get it to work for him. Attacks exploding in his face, making the fight feel frantic. Yuji is hardly managing to keep up too, his body already damaged from their fight in the hallway. Then, as the fight between brother and brother killer comes to its climax, we hear this OST. A remix of the track Remember from when Yuji and Nobara fought Aso and Ketchizu. To ensure this isn't too long of a section, this fight is peak because choreography, environment, motivations, twists, and in the anime, music and animation. It's peak Jujutsu Kaisen for me. This is a fight that takes place with essentially zero punches thrown. Instead, it's a group of friends reaching out to their lost companion, showing him that he's worth more than what he thinks he is. My hero has a problem with flashbacks. After every scene, it feels like there's a flashback to illustrate why what you're watching matters. This is particularly atrocious in the Season 5 joint training arc, where it feels every episode has a flashback quota to meet. But in this fight, it's all the same. In fact, when watching this episode with a friend, they asked if this episode is just going to be people talking, followed by a flashback each time. Personally, I think it works here super well. Deku's mind at this point in the series is so frayed that it's almost as if, as he's being spoken to, these events are flooding his mind again, having locked them away to focus on his goal of stopping All for One. This is then followed by Deku attempting to escape from his friends, insulting them in the process to get them to stay away.
The rest of you can't keep up!
Uraraka tries to stop him but is too slow, with everyone having to come together to send a team attack flying up a ramp to reach him. Todoroki propels Bakugo, who's pushing a layer of acid. They rocket into the sky in pursuit of Deku as the acid dissipates.
But for now, I'll have to wait until this guy does his job! Since he's the one built for speed! Get him, class rep!
The reveal of Ida inside the acid is such a small thing, but it hits me every time I watch it. You think it's going to be Bakugo grabbing his hand, but no. The person who he saved now speeds up to him and grabs Izuku's hand, saving him. This ends with Deku finally being brought back to UA, as well as Bakugo apologizing to him for everything he did. The episode of the series titled Deku vs Class 1A is honestly my favourite in the series so far. Such a good fight and such a good episode. Hype is the one word I'd use to describe this fight. In the manga, this bout is already top tier, but it's the anime adaptation that elevated this to the heights that it reached. With Ufotable working their magic in episode 11 of Demon Slayer Season 2, we get one of the most hype-inducing fights. Not just in the series, but in anime period. The final stage of this fight kicks off with Uzui down for the count and poisoned, Inosuke impaled and poisoned, and Zenitsu trapped under rubble of houses, and Tanjiro getting kicked around by Gyutaro, unable to land a finishing blow due to Gyutaro's regeneration being unstoppable as long as his sister is also still alive. He's using this to his full advantage with Tanjiro completely outclassed and on the back foot. As he's attempting to escape, Gyutaro catches up with him, swinging his sickle as it stops a hair width away from Tanjiro's eye. Just before it connects though, Uzui slams into it, stopping the blade from wounding Tanjiro, surprising Gyutaro. This is when one of my favourite music pieces from any anime starts playing. I'll play it now for you. It just embodies hype, and the hard work that these next minutes are going to bring, with a little bow of determination to wrap it all up. Tengen then slashes Gyutaro away, sending him flying and turning his attacks into a music that he can read. With a battle cry and one last push, he charges Gyutaro, deflecting all of his attacks as he rushes him. Tengen charges through the smoke and slashes at Gyutaro. The two then match blows, going slash for slash as their movements become a blur. They scream at each other as they get knocked back, still slashing at each other. Tanjiro catches up, waiting for his chance to strike. He jumps in the air, and as he does, Tengen's eye is slashed by Gyutaro's sickle. Tanjiro uses this opportunity to slide his blade into Gyutaro's neck. He tries to rid himself of it by stabbing Tanjiro in the jaw, but with one final push, Tanjiro awakens his mark and takes off Gyutaro's head. All the while this is happening, you've got Zenitsu and Inosuke taking down Daki, resulting in both being defeated for good. It's just such a cool fight, and the reactions to it always get me. With One Piece's length, there are a lot of fights that are present in the series, though my personal favourite comes from my favourite arc in the series thus far, Dressrosa. Luffy's clash against Doflamingo has been built up ever since Jaya, with Dofi's character gaining more and more prominence in the story, eventually resulting in the Straw Hats' arrival to Dressrosa off the back of Punk Hazard. The Straw Hats and the Grand Fleet work their way through the Doflamingo family, aiding Luffy in getting to the plateau. And it's here where Law and Luffy begin the arduous battle against Doflamingo. What I like about this fight, compared to others in One Piece, is the complexity of the villain, the setting, the tension that gets built up, the varying environments, and the revenge aspect. Guys, I think I might have a type, you know. Law's backstory and the emotional build-up to the fight is what personally got me so invested in this, over something such as Luffy vs Kaido. As well as this, there's the aspect of the birdcage, which is one of the best final countdowns that Oda has penned, as it forces all of those trapped inside to put in the effort and stop it from closing, whereas others didn't do this. I'm also a big fan of the way that tension is built up in the final moments, with everyone cheering for Luffy to get back up. As we hear the timer count down thanks to Gats, the best commentator of all time. It again unites this group of people together, all now cheering for Luffy to continue fighting. Regarding the fight itself though, this is the first time we see Gear 4th, and Dofi's Devil Fruit Awakening, which completely shakes up the battle, allowing for it to transition to the air for portions, then to the ground where Dofi attempts to use the people around him to his advantage. The threat Dofi poses is amplified by these aspects, and as the fight comes to an end, as Doflamingo reaches up into the sky after Luffy, he's sent crashing right back down to earth. His reign over Dressrosa finally over, with Luffy coming out victorious. For me, this is One Piece at its best. The climax to an incredible arc and a final shutdown to a character that has been built up for over 10 years. Now this battle comes at a time in Black Clover where Magna has all but been left behind by his rivals Luck and Asta, with himself not getting the same chances that they did to gain in power. As well as this, in the build up to the Spade Kingdom invasion, he hadn't been focused in on, instead always off somewhere else, particularly with Zora. So it's a shock when after Jack has been defeated by Dante, Magna comes through the smoke and onto the battlefield with Zora behind him, the ultimate underdog. The fight begins with Dante not taking it seriously at all due to Magna's lacking mana and his commoner status, whilst Dante is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. He allows Magna to get some free shots off on him, but as he does, a chain appears from Magna, binding the two of them together. This causes Dante's demon form to disappear, splitting his and Magna's magic evenly between both of them. This also has the effect of Magna's attacks now very clearly damaging Dante, due to them being equal in physical strength. And it's also worth keeping in mind that Dante is the same Dante that it took Yami and Asta to both barely defeat back at the start of the Spade Kingdom arc. But back to the fight, this very quickly turns into a close quarters fight, with both combatants landing hit after hit on each other, Dante utilising his magic as much as he can, with Magna using his guts to box Dante until his magic runs out from overuse, leaving him even more open for hits, especially this uppercut, which rocks him, setting him up for a finisher as both of them land their fist into the other's face, ending the fight with Magna as the victor. Rushing to the battlefield are Luck and Asta, arriving just in time to see Magna scream out in victory. Now, the obvious reason why this fight works so well is the basis of Magna's character in the series so far and Dante's setup. The odds are entirely against him, yet he prevails anyway, completely reinforcing the main theme of Black Clover in being to constantly push beyond your limits. And in this fight, we see just that. An amazing fight to finish off this video with. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I look forward to reading your favourite fights in the comments down below. But until next time, I'll see you all later.